Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar tonight for RISD Residence Life. We are excited to see you, and we will be even more excited to welcome you to our campus in just a short period of time. Tonight, we have a group of professional staff from RISD that will reflect a number of areas. And our goal is to really just walk you through what the move-in process is going to be like. We're going to cover COVID testing, which will happen right after your arrival, dining, how you get your mail, what move-in will look like, what quarantine will look like, and then we will allow some time for questions and answers at the end of our webinar. Throughout the webinar, you can ask questions in the Q&A. We ask that you use the Q&A rather than the chat form. And we will also have some links for you in the Q&A. One will be a link to the RISD Residence Life website that will have tons of information there, and also to our COVID website, which will answer a lot of your questions about our health and safety initiatives. So again, I'm Barbara LaMonaco, AVP for Student Affairs, and I'm excited to welcome you tonight.
Hi everyone, my name's Carly. I'm the Housing Operations Coordinator in Residence Life. The check-in process is going to look very different for returning students this year. Rather than going straight to your residence halls like you have in the past, all students, so returners and new students, must check in at our check-in location, which is 220 South Water Street. So we emailed out specific instructions earlier today. We hope that you share that email with anyone who may be helping you move in. I know it's a super lengthy email, but we go into all of the nitty-gritty details that you need to know, everything down to when you should be wearing your mask, when your car windows should be rolled up. So I know it's long, but please read all of it. It's very important information. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a very broad look at the move-in process, and you can refer back to that email if you have any questions about details. So we sent out an appointment pass in that email that students will print out and bring to check-in. All students must bring this pass to check-in, whether you are driving or walking up to the location. When you arrive at 220 South Water Street, we will scan your appointment pass, which checks you in, and we will give you everything that you need to move into your residence hall. So keys, if your building has keys, we'll have your ID card for new students, and a safety kit, which will have masks, thermometer, and hand sanitizers. Returning students must bring their IDs to check in. So if you need a new ID, please fill out the form in the move-in instructions email that I will keep referencing back to. In that form, you can request a new ID to be printed, and we would have that ready for you as you check in. So after you are checked in with Residence Life, you would move on to health services to get tested, and we're going to talk about that in the next slide. After testing, returner students will have to hop out of their car real quick if they are driving to update their ID. If you are walking up, there's a big sign, you can't miss it. So you'll just have to update your card before you leave 220 South Water Street, the check-in location. At this point, you will be done with the check-in process. If you have packages that were delivered to the mailroom, your next step would be to stop by and pick those up, and we'll review that process in a bit. And then you can head over to your residence hall and start moving in. We will take a look at what we'll talk a little bit more about what it'll look like in your residence hall in a few short minutes. But next we're going to talk about testing, and Kristen from Health Services is up next.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Gianellis and I'm the Director of Health Services. And as mentioned by Carly, we are going to be doing testing as part of your move-in process. So we will be testing everyone in the RISD community for COVID-19 upon arrival, and then periodically throughout the semester we'll be conducting surveillance testing. We've partnered with the Broad Institute, which is a private nonprofit agency with It's associated with MIT and Harvard to process these labs, and we are already in the process of testing our staff members on campus right now. It's going quite well. I can tell you that our staff members are telling us, wow, I feel so much better after I have this test. It really is not that invasive swab that many people have heard about. This is just a swab of the inside of the very tip of your nostril. And this is a full PCR test done through the Broad Institute with very high accuracy rating. So what will happen is when you have picked up your keys with ResLife, you will then drive forward and we will give you a testing kit and we'll give you instructions on how to swab. Students will be swabbing themselves in their car, and healthcare providers will be available to help talk them through it if they need it. But again, this is a very non-invasive swab, just the inside tip of the nose. The whole process takes less than a minute. You will then hand your testing kit back to a healthcare provider and move forward to the next station. If your test is negative, you'll receive an email prompting you to log into the portal to view your test results. Right now, we're getting test results back in about 24 hours. We've been guaranteed to have test results back within 48 hours at the absolute max. If you have a positive test, you're going to receive a call from the health services team member, and we will direct you at that point in time. It's really important to remember that testing doesn't substitute the quarantine period, and so this test is just one period of time where we find out what your status is at that moment, and so we are requiring quarantine for 2 weeks of all residential community members. I'm now going to hand this on to the dining services, or I'm sorry, the mailroom. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ginny Dunlevy. I am the Executive Director of Auxiliary Services, and in that capacity, I oversee mail services. I also oversee our retail and our dining program, so you might hear from me a couple of times today. So first-year students have been notified that their packages that we receive prior to August 21st will be put into your room. Returning students, as Kristen said, will go through the testing process, and then you'll be notified if you have packages. We're doing a curbside to the back side of Steeple Street, right behind the back entrance of the mail room. So you will pull up to the mail spot there and pop your trunk, show your ID for validation. We'll put those right into your car, and then you can head off. If you're arriving outside of the normal hours, our mailroom is open 8:30 to 5. We ask that you give us some notice to see if we can help make those arrangements with you.
Hi folks, it's me again. So we are limiting the number of students who are moving into our halls at once to comply with physical distancing. So it is very important that students stick to those appointment times that they signed up for. Elevators are operational where they are available. So that is North, East, Nickerson, 15 West, and the Edge. And we are asking that those elevators remain one person or one family at a time in the elevators. Areas with elevators do have move-in carts, so that will be 60 Waterman, which is north, and 15 West will have stations with our wonderful new community coordinator stations there, and they will be overseeing the cart checkout process and sanitizing carts in between use. Other areas that don't have elevators, your items will need to be carried up the stairs, so please pack accordingly. Due to physical distancing, we are unfortunately unable to help families move in the way that we have in the past, so please choose your helper carefully. Stairs are marked up and down, so please keep that in mind as you are navigating the residence hall. and just one person may help the student move into their room. So it's mandatory that students indicate this person on the housing portal so we can conduct contact tracing if necessary. With your check-in information, with your check-in kit that we'll be giving you at 220 South Water Street, you'll get a wristband for this one person to use as they're helping you move in. No one is allowed into the residence halls without a wristband. Your parking permit will expire 2 hours after your move-in time, so also please keep this in mind. We are encouraging people to move up to their residence halls, unpack their unload their belongings rather, and then move their car on either to off-campus parking or move along from there. We need to keep the capacity of our buildings as low as possible, so please keep that in mind. We know that this is a special time for families, and in a normal year, they like to unpack and help set up rooms. Unfortunately, that's really not going to be possible this year as we prep for the next wave of students to be coming in. So we do really appreciate your cooperation as you keep your goodbyes short and keep your family outside of the residence hall and avoid walking around campus or walking around the residence halls. So late arrivals, you may change your appointment time up until 72 hours before your scheduled arrival time. So if you're experiencing extreme travel delays on move-in, please email housing@risd.edu and we'll change your appointment time for you. If you're only running 15, 20, 30 minutes late, don't worry about it, just get here as soon as possible. If you already know that you're going to be arriving late, so let's say the only plane ticket that you could find would get you into Providence at around 6 p.m. as an example, please communicate that with us as soon as possible, and we can make arrangements with your updating your appointment time. If you arrive after hours, whether it be scheduled or because of an unexpected delay, you will need to visit public safety first. So if you are living in 15 West, you'll go to the 15 West Public Safety. If you're anywhere else, you'll go to 30 Waterman Public Safety. There you will register with public safety. They'll just check that you are here. They will give you access to your building. Once you arrive on campus, you are effectively in quarantine. So at this point, you need to go straight to your room and begin quarantine. This is not an opportunity to go shopping or run errands. You will have to start quarantine right then and there. And you will have to come get tested and check in the next morning between 8 and 10 a.m. We will send out an email with all those specifics, but if you are arriving after hours, expect to have to show up for testing and check-in the next day between 8 and 10 a.m. After you get checked in the following day, you may pick up your mail if you have mailer packages at the mailroom. And next, Ginny is going to talk a little bit more about dining and meal plans.
So, I'm sure you're all very excited about food. We have started our quarantine food service already, and you may be seeing a little bit about that. I do really suggest, if you can, to follow Dining on Instagram and Facebook, and that you'll probably get a good sort of idea of the type of meals that'll be coming at you that Chef will talk about in a minute. So a email has gone out, a couple of reminders for you to choose your quarantine meals. Those went out and actually were due back on Wednesday, August 19th. I would suggest, if you have not filled those out, that as soon as possible you email RISD Dining to see if you can still get onto that quarantine list. Dave's going to talk a little bit about the actual meals.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Gould. I'm the executive chef for RISD Dining and RISD Caters. Depending on your meal plan, we have already dropped a continental breakfast box in your room. The idea behind that was that we wanted to give you sort of backload your room to give you some nice items to come home to. So you have your breakfast boxes already. And in addition to that, for lunch and for dinner, what we've done is my culinary leadership team and I worked to build a menu for the quarantine period that is representative of our core values. So we're focusing on produce from New England, but also representing several countries. Really trying to reach out to the country, most countries, or some of the countries that our students are from. And so in doing that, we've tried to put together a menu focusing on those things, but also for portability, because everything is being delivered. So all of our dining venues are closed for walk-in service, and we're exclusively doing delivery service for quarantine service until the first group of students come out of quarantine. Within that menu, we're offering 4 options for both lunch and for dinner. And so what we're calling a sort of omnivore option and a vegan option are available for both lunch and dinner every day. Those are different every day. And in doing that, the menu that we built, we tried to be thoughtful of people's likes and dislikes. So if we're doing a curry for dinner one night, we would try to make the other one totally different. For example, for lunch, if it was a salad, the other option could be a sandwich. And then also, for students that are looking for more simple items, we have 2 consistent options available, which are chicken fingers and pasta with the roasted tomato marinara sauce. And yeah, we hope you like it. Our venues open on Sunday, September 13th. That's before the last student comes out of quarantine. So we'll still be doing quarantine service until after that, but that's the date that our venues are open for walk-in service for students. And the hours at the Met, we're open from 6:30 to 10 for breakfast, 11 to 2 for lunch and brunch, and 4 to 9 from dinner. And Grubhub pickup at the Portfolio is available from 7:30 to 10 for breakfast, 11 to 2 for lunch, and 4 to 9 for dinner. One other thing that I wanted to mention was, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but when trying to plan out your day, I'm sure that all of you will be looking forward to being able to get a little bit of exercise outside, but we really want you to be mindful of when you try and do that. And from a food safety perspective, we want you to try and be in your room during meal service and keep the hallways clear for our team. Thanks, we really look forward to seeing you after quarantine. I think that Dan's up next.
I am. Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Murphy. I am the Associate Director for Residential Education here. And I am going to walk you through what the quarantine process will look like once you move in. I know a lot of you probably have a lot of anxieties or questions around what this period will look like. But we're excited to welcome you in a week or so. And so we'll dive right in. So quarantine effectively begins the moment you start moving into your room. A big thing to note, I did this in college and some people expect this, is once you start moving into your residence hall, you won't be able to leave after that to go run errands or to go shopping. So you really do need to bring everything with you, which we will go over shortly. In addition to this, we ask that parents and guardians or whoever is helping you move in, they would not be able to go out and run errands on your behalf and then have you meet them later to bring those things into your room. So you really do need to bring everything with you. So what does quarantine mean? So quarantine essentially is to help, stop the spread of COVID. And if you have been exposed, it gives you enough time away from others to see if you have those symptoms. So how do we do this? First, we remain in our room as much as possible. You limit your physical contact with other people, and you do it for about 14 days. And so those are the essential components of quarantine. So you might be wondering, all right, what can I do during my quarantine? So you should be doing those 3 things. But on top of that, if you live in a residence hall that has communal bathrooms, so bathrooms outside of your apartment or your room, you can use that communal restroom. We encourage you to go outside and exercise alone for up to 2 hours a day. So go for a walk, go for a run, just be by yourself outside. It's great for mental health. It's great for your physical health. As David said, please be mindful of meals and please be in your room during the mealtime to ensure safety of everyone who's delivering meals and that you're there for the food. If you have any important doctor visits that have already been scheduled, you can attend those. You should definitely be monitoring your health for any symptoms that you might display. If you download the MyRISD app, you can actually do the daily health assessment on there. And then we will have a large variety of virtual programs and events for you. The whole RISD campus will, and we'll go over that in a little bit. And so we'll have stuff daily for you to engage with each day. So what activities are prohibited? So students should not be congregating with other people. You should not be visiting with family or friends on or off campus. We've been receiving a lot of questions about the guest policy or the visitor policy. So for the entire academic year, not just during quarantine, there are no visitors allowed in the residence halls. And that is to decrease, the ability for COVID to get into the residence halls. And so no visiting with family or friends. That includes other RISD friends who live off campus or live in another residence hall. Do not go shopping or to local restaurants or coffee shops. That includes, just ordering a coffee from a local coffee shop for pickup. We ask that you do not do that. You shouldn't be ordering food for delivery. You also shouldn't be ordering groceries for delivery. The RISD mailroom will not not take grocery deliveries. So if you have a minimal meal plan or you have no meal plan at all and you're living on campus, you really do need to bring enough groceries and food items for those 14 days. And so focus on a lot of those non-perishables and those items that would last for 14 days. We ask that you do not use communal lounges or communal spaces in the residence halls. So lounges, workrooms, laundry rooms, kitchens. Workrooms, your faculty know that you won't have access to workrooms during quarantine, so they'll work with you on that. We also ask that you don't visit other RISD locations, and that includes the mailroom. And then RISD rides will not be available while you are in quarantine. So as you're starting to pack, we're a week out, you're probably wondering, what should I be bringing? We can help you through that. And so what I will say is definitely follow us on Instagram. We've been updating daily with everything to think about, and we just updated today of what you should bring as well. But at the bare minimum, you should be bringing the basic essentials with you. Pack lightly. This is not a time to bring the futon or to bring, all of the Target section with you. Pack lightly and just bring the essentials. And again, you won't be able to go shopping after you start moving in. So things to bring: toiletries. So your basics: toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant. If you wear contacts like me, contact and contact solution, anything in that realm for you. Any personal hygiene products. If you take prescription medications, making sure that you bring enough for those 14 days. So bringing at least 14 days supply. I highly recommend bringing more than that and bringing refills. Any general medications that you might require. So if you get headaches frequently, making sure you're bringing your medication for that. So ibuprofen, Tylenol, cough medicine, whatever it be that you use. Bedding, so just bring basic bedding. So pillow, pillowcase, sheets, blanket and comforter. Bathroom supplies, towels, washcloths, shower caddy. If you have a communal bathroom, we always recommend flip-flops or some sort of shower shoes. Bringing any electronics that you need, so laptop, phone. If there's electronics that you use for classes, like a digital camera or anything, bring those and the appropriate chargers. And then common room items. It might be a little warm, so bringing a fan, desk lamp, Kleenex, cleaning supplies, anything that you would need. And again, it's really that focus for those first 14 days. I find a lot of students when they first move in bring in way more than they need. And so those 14 days, you'll definitely figure out what you need. And so you'll be able to go shopping after quarantine to get a few more of those items. So again, pack light, pack the essentials. And we also encourage you to bring a duffel bag or a backpack that's kind of like your to-go bag in the case that you need to isolate at any time during the year if you are diagnosed with COVID. And that would just be a bag of just essentials that staff can very easily just grab for you and bring to the isolation room that you might be spending time in. So another piece of what to bring, this is a common question we get, is bathrooms and like what comes in a room, and that impacts what you would bring. So all rooms come with a bed, a desk, a chair, a chest of drawers, and a closet or a wardrobe. So if you have a private bathroom in your living space, so this is typically any apartments or suites in 15 West. So if you live in 15 West, Charles Landing, Colonial, Dwight, or The Edge, shower curtains are provided for you, but you would need to provide toilet paper and any like hand soap for the bathroom and any other supplies you would need. If you are using communal bathrooms, so those are in the Hill houses, East, Nickerson, North, and South. Those again come with shower curtains, but then those, our facilities team will actually clean those bathrooms daily. They'll provide toilet paper, paper towels, and hand soap. So you don't need to bring any of that if you have a communal bathroom. And so now I'll turn it over to Erica from the Center for Student Involvement.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, my name is Erica Paradise. I'm the director of the Center for Student Involvement, and I'd like to talk with you briefly about what you can expect for orientation when you get here and when you can expect for events for the first few weeks that you're here. So everyone should have received a link to an online orientation program for returning students. We're calling that reorientation. New students, that should be done by August 24th, and returning students should be done by September 7th. New students, when you arrive, based on your move-in date, we will have groups of returning student leaders called orientation leaders who are ready to meet with you in virtual small groups where they will facilitate academic and co-curricular webinars to help you transition not only to RISD, but to your new home. You'll be able to learn ways to get involved with student clubs and or affinity groups, and there'll be plenty of optional virtual fitness classes and social programming. In terms of events, for the first few weeks, other slide. Thanks. In terms of events for the first few weeks of the semester, you can go to involved.risd.edu. We call that our hub for campus life. You can find what we have planned now and know that there'll be more added soon. But your risd.edu email address gets you in, and you can search a full calendar of events during quarantine in the first few weeks of class. And that's where you'll find events for the rest of the semester and academic year as well. There'll be plenty of fitness and recreation events. In fact, we have Tai Chi classes already set, yoga, strength training using only what might be in your room. And that's all with certified instructors that are just for RISD. And once we can get back in person, we'll facilitate some small running groups and cycling groups and things that are safe that way too. On involved.risd.edu, you'll be able to find clubs and organizations. We have about 40 active clubs and orgs, and you can search by what you're interested in, things that you might have done in the past that you'd like to continue, things that you're interested in getting involved in now and haven't had experience. And you can search to see what's available, and you can contact those folks for more info. You can also get department and campus news, and you'll be able to register and RSVP for the events that are coming up through that site as well. In fact, we are planning a virtual involvement fair called Block Party, which is a really amazing RISD tradition, and that'll be on Involved as well. We'll have plenty of co-curricular and academic events, things like artist talks and department-sponsored opportunities to have conversations about the things that you can do to best prepare yourself for the semester. And we're very connected to the Providence community, and we'll have plenty of virtual community engagement events for you too. So it's really important that not only you consider RISD your home, but Providence as well. And we have lots of community partners who have awesome ideas for virtual ways for you to get involved with their communities as well. And finally, we're working on leadership workshops and events so that you can really commit to a series of skill building activities and events that you can do both virtually and again, when we can get back in person as well. And all of you, new or returning students, will be entered to receive our Word Out newsletter, which is our campus events newsletter that everyone gets via email. And the first edition will be out next week. So that'll give you a chance to see what's available. And with that, I'd like to toss it over to Anna Brooks, our Deputy Chief of Public Safety.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Public safety is doing a couple different things for COVID this year. If you're a returning student, you know us as your 24/7 safety resource. Public safety is available always. If you call the number on the screen, and if you haven't already got it in your phone, please put it in now, 401-454-6666. Any type of campus emergency, please call us, whether you're locked out of your room, whether it's something more serious. And then if there's a medical emergency, we're available for service as well. Most of our officers are certified emergency medical technicians, or EMTs, as well as having certification in campus security. What this means is when we respond, we have a certain level of medical expertise. We can evaluate your injury or your illness and advise you what to do. We can talk to you about calling an ambulance. We can arrange for an ambulance transport for you if needed, and we can make sure that you're all set. One of the things that's a little different about our COVID response is what's called personal protective equipment. Normally, when you see us respond, we might put on a mask, we might put on gloves. Anyone who's suspected of having COVID symptoms, which I think if you're familiar with them now, they're pretty wide ranging. So to keep us safe and to keep you safe, when we respond to anything involving COVID symptoms, you may see us wearing a gown, a face shield, a mask, gloves, and even booties, depending upon the system. I would urge you to just take that in stride. It's something new, but it is something to keep you safe, and it's something to keep us safe. If you have any questions about that at any time, again, feel free to call us at our number, 401-454-6666. I want to, Dan Murphy mentioned this earlier, but RISD Rides is not available to people who are in quarantine or later in isolation at any time. And we urge you, again, for the safety of yourself and others, including our drivers, not to use RISD Rides if you're feeling unwell. You can call health services if you're feeling unwell, public safety, or even talk to your residence life advisor just to find out what you should do. Again, we're all here 24/7. My final thing would be just to ask you to remain flexible, patient, and kind to one another. That is something that we all need to be able to do. And now I'm going to turn it over to Barbara for resources and support.
Okay, I'm not Barbara. My name is Dr. Bob Samuels. I'm the Executive Director of the Integrated Health and Wellness Center. And just a mention of resources and support for all the students when they're on campus. COVID RISD EDU has the most up-to-date information. So they will post there regularly the latest updates regarding campus changes in facilities, or if there's any changes in access. You can get to the virtual public health screening that's required for staff, faculty, and students. You can access that from the same website. Just has a lot of really good information to answer all the questions that might come up, some that you can think of tonight and some that might come up later. Health services is open at 8:30 to 4:30. Its location has actually changed, and we're now downtown at Pine Street. However, all appointments need to be pre-screened, which essentially is you call up and you tell them what difficulty you're having. We have a separate respiratory clinic so that any individuals with COVID-like symptoms will be directed there, where they will be evaluated and a determination made. Non-COVID related concerns will be addressed by telehealth, and if necessary, a brief visit but we will all be wearing masks and other protective equipment when we see students. Counseling and psychological services is also housed in the same suite as health services, but all of our meetings will be by either video or telephone, and this will be true throughout the semester. We found that to maintain social distancing, this was the best approach. We've used it successfully for the last few months, and so we're going to continue that into the fall semester. Disability support services can be reached at the same number, and that will also be done via telephone or Zoom link if that is accessible for you and for the provider. All of the things that we're doing is really just showing an abundance of caution, trying to keep the whole community safe, and so that we can continue throughout the semester and have it be successful and enjoyable and healthy. And pass it on to Q&A.
Hi, everybody. I am going to just open it up now. Hi, everybody. My name is Anu Masterson. I'm the Associate Director for Housing. It's good to see all of you and be here with you. So we're going to quickly move over to Q&A. So I would ask that if all panelists can show their video, so we can jump right into the Q&A. Okay, so we are going to bounce back and forth a little bit between the pre-submitted questions as well as the questions that are coming in. I do ask that you continue to ask questions there in the Q&A box. So if we are unable to respond here today, we will be able to do that after on our website. So just going to start off with some move-in related questions. So Carly, this will be for you. Could you please talk about if roommates are allowed to go down to the lobby to help their apartment mates with move-in?
Sure. So if you're moving in at the same time as your roommate, you can help each other. If your roommate moved in a day before or a couple hours before, then their quarantine has already begun and they cannot come down to help you.
Thank you. The next question is, my flight gets in at 8 p.m., but that isn't listed as a time slot for move-in appointments. Can you make an exception?
Sure. Email housing@risd.edu and we will change your appointment time for you. We'll email you the night that you should be arriving, but be prepared to arrive at the check-in location for Residence Life check-in and also testing the following day between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Okay, great, thank you. Kristen, this one might be for you. Are parents required to show proof of testing?
So no, parents are not required to show proof of testing to RISD. We do ask that you follow the governor's orders from the state of Rhode Island based upon what the current recommendations are for each state. It is different for each state and it changes daily. And so if you are from a state that requires a quarantine or a test prior to arrival, we will not be checking that, but the hotel that you stay in may be checking that. I advise you to call the hotel beforehand and find out what their requirements are. If you come in to Rhode Island to just drop your child off and then leave the same day, no one will be checking for a test result.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm going to stick with you for a couple more questions. May students have access to the COVID test kit instructions and document to be signed prior to move-in day?
Absolutely. So we can make that available on the covid.risd.edu site. And that I'll make sure that's available within the next day or so, just so that you can look over it ahead of time.
Great, thank you. And again, I believe in the chat window, you should see covid.risd.edu. So the link is there for you along with the RISD housing site. And Kristen, one more for you. What type of COVID-19 tests will you be using? And if a student tests positive, will a more thorough test be administered to confirm?
So the test that we're using is a PCR test, which is currently the gold standard for COVID-19 testing. Many other places are using rapid antigen tests. Those are the quick ones that come back within, 15, 20 minutes or so. Those are the ones that have lower accuracy rates and need to be repeated with a PCR. So we are starting with the PCR right out of the gate.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna move over to dining. So this might be David or Jenny. What does breakfast look like in quarantine?
The breakfast boxes that we dropped off are continental breakfast sort of boxes that we planned on being able to hold you over for some of the items for 1 week and some of the items for 2 weeks. There are things like cereal, granola bars, assorted chips, or snacks, juices, waters, sparkling waters, hand fruit, milk, pastries, yogurt, that kind of stuff. And if I just want to also mention this now, if anyone finds that they are running through that breakfast box more quickly than we expected, that we're happy to refill it. We have a quarantine hotline, and I can put the number in the chat, but it's 401-454-6361.
And you all will have that number when you actually get to your rooms. So it will be, the information will be there for you. David, I'm gonna stick with you for a little bit longer. We are getting meals delivered to us according to our dining plans. Will we also be able to order groceries through RISD to be delivered?
While we have started a grocery delivery or a grocery pickup program, we aren't able to start that until after the quarantine period. So the grocery, that being said, we have a grocery drop-off box that's similar to the breakfast box, which again, you can order through the hotline.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna switch over to the mailroom, Jenny. For you, can you talk a little bit about whose packages are actually being delivered to the rooms between new students and returning students?
Sure, it's new students, first-year students, packages that are being delivered to the room.
And, for returning students, could you clarify a little bit about if their cards are full, what are the options for them to be able to pick up their packages?
Well, it's my understanding that and someone in the Res Life team can stop me if I'm wrong, that folks would be able to empty out their car and come back down and get in our queue. We're making it very quick so that you should be able to drive right back down and get those packages. You can stop me if I'm wrong in the Residential Life group, but I think that that's correct. We'll, as we always do at Move-In, we'll have some hand trucks available, we will not have much in the amount of manpower. We are looking at some of the oversized now to see how we might be able to help some folks with those oversized packages. Again, if there's something that's really critical, feel free to email the mailroom at risd.edu that we can try and noodle out a solution for you.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. All right, we're going to switch over to quarantine. So Dan, I'll start with you and feel free to include other folks as you think necessary. What cleaning supplies will be provided and what cleaning supplies should students bring with them?
Yep, so all students will have a bottle of disinfectant spray and paper towels placed in their rooms. Anything beyond that, you'll need to provide for yourself within your space. I definitely encourage you to bring more paper towels as they run out. If you run out of disinfectant spray, facilities will be able to provide you with more of that. And that's meant more to disinfect surfaces than to be used as a cleaning spray.
Great, thank you. Could you please talk about how quarantine will be enforced? What facilities, if any, will be available to visit during quarantine? And will we be able to take walks outside of campus?
Yes, you can definitely take walks outside of campus and outside for 2 hours a day for exercise. You just have to do it by yourself. We ask that you do not visit other RISD buildings during quarantine. Again, the point of quarantine is to really limit your movement around campus and kind of keep it into your room. And what was the first part? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So At the end of the day, we're part of a community, and you're all joining the RISD community, and we all play a piece in the health and wellness of ourselves, but also those who we're living with and interacting with, and that includes staff and faculty as well as your peers. And so we won't be following you around. Like I won't pop up next to you and be like, "Hi, I'm here," ever. But we do ask that you are abiding by the policies and guidelines for quarantine, and if we are made aware that you are not following the quarantine guidelines, then you would be recommended to go through the conduct process.
Great. And can we do laundry and use the gyms in our building during quarantine?
So gyms will not be open in the buildings, and I believe the RISD gym will not be open as well. We ask that you do not go to any gyms in the Providence community during your quarantine. And then laundry, we ask that you try not to use the laundry machines during quarantine. Again, we're trying to stop people from using communal spaces. However, we know that sometimes accidents happen. You could be drinking coffee and spill it all over your bed. We understand that that might be a situation where you have to do laundry. So we ask that you're not doing just normal laundry, but only if it's an event of like an emergency or something.
All right, thank you, Dan. This might still be you. Will we be able to have family and friends visit our rooms? And I think they're asking after quarantine.
Great question. Unfortunately, no. So the visitor guest policy for the entire academic year is that no one can come into the residence halls to visit unless they live in that residence hall. So if you have a friend who lives on another floor in that building, absolutely. But this includes other RISD students who live in other residence halls or live off campus. Your friends and family are more than welcome to still come to Providence and to visit. It's just they would have to meet you outside of the residence hall.
Great, thank you. And Bob, I'm gonna go to you for this one. What happens if a student tests positive for COVID-19? Are they meant to stay in their room until they are better, go back home? What happens?
If we have a student test positive, we do have rooms on campus for isolation where they will be, staying there for 2 weeks. We will have food delivery. We will have health services checking in daily. We will be hiring some medical staff to provide additional support if necessary. And these are students who are testing positive with minimal symptoms, more severe symptoms than we would be transporting to the hospital, which makes sense. But we do have the capacity for keeping students on campus and monitoring them and being in touch with them during that time, so that if their symptoms change, they have communication and contact to offer additional support as needed.
Great, thank you. The next question, I'm moving over to the live Q&A. Continue to type it. We also have some folks behind the scenes answering questions, so we're gonna start responding that way so we can get to as many as possible. A couple questions about Jones Storage. What if we need to pick up packages from Jones before quarantine? I can take that one. We are working with Jones right now to have those packages delivered to your room. So they're more than halfway done, and we expect that all of those packages will be delivered to your room prior to August 29th. Barbara, this might be you, maybe. Will supply list / any textbook list be available before move-in, or is there a system to get supplies after?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that you should do if you do not have a supply list yet from your faculty, you should contact your faculty immediately and ask them about that so that you have ample things shipped to you in advance. And we will have some departments will be making deliveries to students through Residence Life for limited supplies from, again, for particular majors. So look for that. But I would encourage you to contact your departments about if you don't have a supply list yet.
Great. Thank you, Barbara. A couple more dining questions. I will probably change my meal plan due to the change of my room, but I have already pre-ordered for like chicken tenders. Do I need to refill another form if I changed my meal plan? I'll actually take the first part of that. Your room and your dining plan stay the same. So as you know, when you change your room from a whole house to an apartment, you're charged only for your room. So your meal plan actually carries on with you. But I'll let Ginny or David answer the question about refilling another form if they want to change anything.
Any of those sorts of questions, I think the best thing to do is either call the hotline or you can email us at dining.risd.edu with specifics, and we're happy to help you out.
Yeah, I will also just, you know, on top of what David's saying, we are doing over 1,000 meals door to door twice a day. And so the ability to continually change your mind or kind of figure out your decision, and you want to do that as soon as possible. It's a Herculean event to get these meals out with the size of our dining staff. And so we really appreciate the community thinking about your dining choices, making those decisions, sticking with it. And that's the only way that we'll be able to really service the whole community to the best of our ability.
Great. Thanks, Jenny. I am going to stick with you a little bit longer. Can we opt for dining plan just for the duration of the quarantine period and cancel after?
If you are a senior or a graduate student, you would be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Carly, I'm going to go to you for this one. For people without cars, how will we be able to pick up packages, especially people who live in Charles Landing?
So we will have limited, very, very limited shuttles running on move-in days. They will only be doing a loop from the check-in location to mail services to residence halls.
Great, thank you. I'm going to stick with you a little bit longer. Where do we pick up our student IDs? I thought we received them at check-in, but it says to bring it instead.
If you are a returner student, you should already have your ID and you would bring that with you. If you're a returner student and you need a new ID, in that email that we sent out to you today, there's a form where you can request a new ID. We'll have that ready for you when you check in. If you're a new student and you've never had an ID before, we'll have it ready for you, and it's already been updated, so you don't even need to update it.
Great, thank you. Dan, this might be you or Kevin. Is there a schedule when visiting the bathrooms, or can we go whenever we need to?
That's a great question. No, there is not a schedule. So if you are living in a residence hall with a communal bathroom, so again, that's primarily the first year buildings, you will be assigned to a specific bathroom. We have tried to make it so that no more than 4 rooms are sharing the same stall or unit. So you'll have an assigned bathroom. And if it's a larger communal bathroom, one that has multiple stalls and all of that, you'll be assigned to a specific stall to utilize. And so when you move in, you'll have in your room which stall it's a symbol system. You'll know which one you'll be assigned to, and you can use it whenever you need to.
Great. And I think we have this on a slide, but Dan and Jenny, could you please share the Instagram accounts for Dining and Res Life? Jenny?
Yeah. So the Res Life one is RISD Res Life, RESLIFE. So RISD Res Life.
And dining is at RISD Dining, so RISDDINING.
Thank you. This might be for Bob or Kristen. How can I monitor my health on my RISD app? What are the processes?
So if you log on to the MyRISD app, you will see a brand new tile on there that says COVID-19 Daily Self-Assessment. You click on that, and and we're going to be going through this during public health orientation. There will be lots of reminders about this, but everyone on campus is required to do this self-assessment every day. It's a series of 3 questions. They are simple yes, no's, and then it prompts you at the end whether you are safe to be on campus or no need to call health services. And it has a link directly to health services if you have symptoms.
Thanks, Kristen. Dan, this might be for you. If we check into our rooms for quarantine on the 29th, will we be allowed out on the 12th, or will we need to wait for all students to finish their quarantine period on the 17th?
It's a good question. So your quarantine begins the day that you move in. So if 14 days later you're done with quarantine, then you're done with quarantine. And so if someone arrives 2 days after you, they would be done with quarantine 2 days after you. So you would be able to go about on campus, utilize the dining options that are available. We just ask that you respect those who are still in quarantine and still, physically distance, wear a mask on campus, and still, be cautious.
Great, thank you. Erica, this is for you. Where and how do we access orientation for first years?
Orientation, the virtual link for orientation was emailed all to you. So if you didn't get that email or it's lost somewhere, just email csi@risd.edu. But when you get to campus and you check in, we have that list and we will contact you the first day of your move-in to introduce you to your orientation leader and give you a schedule of the next few days of events.
Great, thank you. Dan, after the quarantine, can I go shopping with my friends off campus? What is the limitation on the amount of people?
Absolutely. Again, we just say to socially distant, wear masks, bring hand sanitizer, just be smart about it. I believe Rhode Island, like this right now, the gathering size I think is 15. But if you're using, the public bus transportation or anything, again, just be physically distant, bring hand sanitizer, wear a mask. But yes, absolutely, go shopping with your friends.
Thank you. There are a couple of questions in here about for students that are walking up. So if they're not coming via car, how would they check in? So Carly, this would be for you. So there's questions about Jolly Roger and in relation to the street address. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I will refer back to that email that I keep mentioning. If you check that out, all the specifics are in there, but we do have a walk-up location at the same spot, 22 Water Street. There are plexiglass screens and we'll be socially distancing, so it's very safe. You can navigate, if you're walking up, navigate to Jolly Roger, and then you'll just hop down the stairs that are right next to Jolly Roger. And if you have issues with the stairs, if you can't navigate the stairs, just give us a call at the housing office and we will come meet you at the top of the stairs.
Great, and I've seen this question frequently as well, Carly. My parents are moving myself and my roommate in, and we will need to make multiple trips from the storage unit. Within the 2 hours of parking, can the car come and go to get more stuff from storage?
Yes.
So yes, they can, go back and forth. I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. But I would suggest that the students stay in the residence hall while the car is making trips back and forth. Barbara, this might be for you or Bob. A lot of universities are making public the number of students being tested and the number who have tested positive. Will you share this information with students?
Sorry, yes, we will have a dashboard that will show our community statistics for COVID negativity or positivity.
And this will be updated regularly.
Great, thank you. Carly, this will be for you. Do all rooms have fridges for the breakfast supplies? Is milk included? We are packing a hot water kettle to make breakfast tea. Is that okay?
Yes, all rooms do have fridges. They are plugged in and they will be cooled as you arrive. What was the rest of the question? Hot tea kettle?
Yep.
Anu, correct me if I'm wrong, but are hot tea kettles allowed, but only in the kitchen?
We allow certain hot tea kettles, so you could go on our website to find that information. It depends on how old and what kind they are, but you can email housing@RISD to just run it by us. Kevin, this might be for you. Are all of the amenities accessible at the Edge?
So for students who are living at the Edge does have a number of different amenities which are unique to the property. There are access controls being put in place for restrictions on who can access amenities at what time. We're still working out the details of that, but they will be somewhat restricted, including their fitness center, which from a physical distancing perspective doesn't necessarily meet our standards.
Great, thanks. I'm not sure, but there's about 4 questions about this, so I'm going to ask it, and maybe it's you, Barbara, and I could answer a portion of it. These are first-year students that have not gotten their schedule yet, so they're not sure about supplies quite yet. I'll start, and maybe Barbara, you can chime in. but I believe schedules should be sent out within the next week, and all first-year students will receive a toolkit. And we are asking Experimental and Foundation Studies to send a list over to students about what's actually included in your toolkits, and those will be in your rooms. Is there anything else that maybe Jenny or Barbara want to add to that?
I don't have anything to add. Jenny, how about you?
Nope, that about covers it. I have heard there were some other questions about if the store would be delivering during quarantine, and that is not the plan as of now.
Where exactly do I register my parent as a mover or helper? I can take that one. So this would be on the housing portal itself. So when you schedule your move-in appointment, the next page should bring you to list the person that's going to be helping you. And if that's not the case, send us an email. That could be just an error with your account, since other users are able to do that. So I think we are getting close to time. So what I will say is that this recording will be available to everybody on the RISD Housing site, but we can also email it. So if you are looking specifically for the link for the recording, we can send it to you. We will also try to get this list of questions that you have submitted here and create a new FAQ and put that on our site, so you'll be able to look there. We are continuing to update our site, the main COVID site as well. The RISD Dining also has a page on the housing side, but we are, again, active on social media just to keep up with new things that are coming out and how we can help and support. I know our Instagram account is just talking about what quarantine is like, and folks from our staff. So just stay in touch with us as much as we can. We would love to continue to answer your questions. We're here, we're excited, we're looking forward to having you all on campus. There are many students that are returning, and there's life back in our campus, which is exciting. I will say thank you and have a good rest of the night. If there's any other questions, again, email housing@risd.edu, and we will do what we can to get back to you. Bye, everybody.